Hi guys, my name is Louis, and in this video we're making potato gratin. This, in my opinion, is a dish that every person that cooks around the holidays should know. It is very indulgent, and that's why it is usually served around the holidays and not just any time of the year. The ingredients you'll need for this video are some russet potatoes, some heavy cream, some gruyere cheese. Ideally, you'd use gruyere and Parmigiano Reggiano, but my dad happened to eat all of the Parmesan before I got a chance to film this video, so it'll be fine with just gruyere. But yeah, and then 2 shallots and then some garlic. And optionally, you can add some rosemary. And now the first step for our gratin is to make the creamy, indulgent sauce. So you're just going to start by adding in 1 pint of cream, goes in a saucepan. Then you just want to put that on medium-low heat. And then you just want to bring that to a simmer. While your cream is coming up to a simmer, you're going to chop 2 shallots. First you're going to start by cutting off the tip. And then cut them in half. Make sure that you don't cut off the root. And then once they're in half, it should be easy to take off all of their peels. And the reason that we're adding in the shallots now and not sauteing them in oil before we add in the cream is because we're gonna bake this. If we would saute the shallots first, they would become too overcooked. Okay, now that all of your shallots are halved and peeled, you want to make sure that their root is still on, otherwise it'll be more difficult to do this. To finally dice them, what you're going to do is you're going to make little cuts, not all the way, but close to the root, in this direction across the shallot, like this way. Then once your shallot is cut that way, you're just going to make a cut in the middle, close to the root, but again not all the way through, and then cut like that. And then you're just going to do that again for all of your shallots. Okay, now that all of your shallots are cut up, I actually only used 1 shallot because it was a relatively large one. You just want to take 4 to 5 cloves of garlic and then some rosemary or thyme, whichever you prefer, and then just roughly chop that until it's all mixed. And make sure that while you're cutting all of your vegetables that you're occasionally stirring this because it can burn pretty easy if you're not watching it. Okay, now that everything is cut up finely, you're just going to give this one last stir. Well, not the last one, but stir before you put everything in. And make sure that it's simmering by this point. And then just take your garlic and rosemary and slide it in. And then do the same for your shallot. And then once everything is in there, you just want to give it a whisk. And now that everything is in there, you are going to want to slice all of your potatoes nice and thin. Yes, you can obviously do that with a knife, but I'm going to use a mandolin because it's a heck of a lot easier. You could also do it with a peeler, and you can make extremely thin slices with those, but right now I'm just going to use a mandolin because it's the easiest option. And remember, while you're doing this, remember to occasionally mix your cream around. Okay, after about 3 to 5 minutes, you want to start putting some cheese into your cream mixture. During that time, I was able to mandolin 2 potatoes. So now we're just gonna turn the heat a bit up. You don't want the heat to be too high, because if your heat is too high, it'll cause your potatoes to, not your potatoes, your cheese to split and release the oil. And then you just want to grate at least an ounce of cheese in here. I'm probably going to do around 3 ounces. This is a 6-ounce block that I'm using. So I'm just going to use half of it right now. And you typically want to start with less cheese because cheese will really thicken up the sauce. So if you add in too much, then yes, you can add in more cream, but it's easier to thicken up the sauce than thin it down, you know? And you're just gonna wait for that to chill down. So mine, there's some cream on the sides that's not like falling down, and you wanna make sure that you scrape that down because otherwise it can burn and it'll ruin this entire recipe. So in order to prevent that, you're just gonna use a silicone spatula and scrape down the sides. And I'm gonna continue slicing my potatoes. And depending on the size of your potatoes, you can do more or less, but I'm going to start out with 3 potatoes. And I'm using a 3-quart 8x8 baking dish, or 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter. And remember to stir your cream. Now I'm just gonna, so my sauce is too thin, so I'm just gonna add in more cheese. So basically cheese is the ingredient that will get your sauce either thinner or thicker depending on how you like it. But for a gratin, you kind of want it to be like a thin paste. Okay, and now I finally put in about 3 ounces of cheese. And I'm just gonna give that a little mix to see if it's thick enough. And I'm gonna wait for all the cheese to melt. So now you want to start aligning your potatoes in your baking dish when this is almost about to be done. So this is a good consistency. Do you notice how it like covers my rubber spatula like that? So that's how you know it's just about ready, because remember it's still gonna thicken up in the oven too. So I'm just gonna turn off the heat. And now you just wanna layer your potatoes on top of each other, like really close to each other. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a second. And the reason I'm doing this is that so I can place it like this in my baking dish. I'm hoping that you guys can see that. But so basically I am just very slowly having them decline so that everything can touch the bottom of the baking dish and every slice can also touch the top of the baking dish so that every part is just as good as the other. And then you want to do that with all of your potatoes. Okay, now I am done setting up all of my potatoes in my dish. So I'm just going to give this a little stir because some of the fats just went to the top, like the cheese. And then you just want to pour that over your potatoes. And then just level that out a bit so that the sauce is spread out even. And then if you wanted, you could just stop here and then bake the rest of the, and then cover your dish and bake the potatoes the next day. But I'm gonna go ahead and bake the potatoes right now. And in order to do that, you want to preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and bake it anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. And I'll meet you then. So this has been in the oven for around an hour, and now you just want to create a large layer of gruyere cheese on top, or whatever cheese you wish. Okay, now that you've created a nice thick layer of gruyere cheese or whatever cheese you like, you're just gonna pop this under your broiler until golden brown. Okay, so my gratin just came out of the oven. I'm not sure if you're able to hear it sizzling right now. The cheese cheese on top got super crispy, but not golden brown. I think the problem with that, and some parts are like way darker than others, I would recommend actually broiling it on low, unlike what I did. I broiled it on high, and I think that was just too high of a heat for the cheese. But it'll be good no matter what. Like, the cheese is still super nice and crispy. I mean, come on, just listen to this.